What's going on? It's Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. I'm about to head into the studio. I know it's Sunday, but we got to work. We got to take care of business. That's what men do. And we don't make excuses. Real men, I know some do, but we don't make excuses. We just get to it. And with that being said, I just want to have a quick conversation with you guys about the state of our culture, how that ties into politics, and who's going to suffer as a result of it. Let me say that one more time for the people in the back. The state of the culture, how that relates to politics, who's going to suffer as a result of it. I largely hang the responsibility of what's happened to certain parts of the culture and the community, and then the results that you see from it, on the past generations, maybe 2 generations of men. I long for and I look at the way that people used to dress in the 50s, and I used to see old pictures and video of the fact that they used to wear suits to baseball games and everything like that. And largely, even black people in general are conservative. We are a conservative people. And I was wondering where that switched, where that changed. And then I looked at the civil rights movement, because I'm a really deep dive into history. I do that on a regular basis when I'm with myself. And I looked at civil rights and the civil rights movement, and I understood it back then, because you were a marginalized community. And I say you because I'm not, and I wasn't back there. And so that doesn't apply to me. And I see people today, they lean into the history that they know, that they think that they know, that they don't even really understand, because people will call you an Uncle Tom and things like that and don't even understand what that story was. And then they remixed it similarly to how they've remixed the Democratic Party to somehow be for black people, when the Democratic Party has never been for black people. And then I look at how they tied y'all to the federal government, women in particular, right? And they hijacked y'all movement, and y'all thought that feminism, as you aligned with the Democrats and other feminists that didn't even look like you, to break up your family and tie yourself to the federal government, and look where that's got you. Fast forward to today, as of recording of this video, you have more single parent homes, more feminine men, more people are in prison, more people are tied to gangs, more people need therapy than ever before. And you have to ask yourself, if we are more technologically advanced than ever before, and we are freer to do what we want to do more than ever before in history, why are things so bad for you? And why is it that the more choice that you have, the worse decisions that you make? And so they broke up your households by incentivizing you to then depend on the federal government. And so now everybody is advocating for socialism, when that was never the move. The move was never to be socialist or communist. And for those of y'all that may not even understand what that means, to depend on universal income or depend on the government in order to serve you, but to make your own bones, you know what I'm saying? To get your own bag, to run up your own checks, take care of your family, the freedom to make the decision to do what you want to do, and not be tied to some requirement or regulation that the government decides for you. And you move forward with that. And you've seen the alphabet community movement, which I largely tied to the Obama administration. And they advocated for things that, again, wasn't best for your children and your family. And they said that you can be who you want to be when you want to be it. And, you know, in any other situation where you pretend to be something that you're not, that's called delusion. And then you got to go and get some medication for that and seek therapy. But in this situation, you can be something that you are biologically not, and we all can see it, but we got to play into your delusion. And then that hijacked the feminist movement, which is still going, but it hijacked the feminist movement because it took money, resources, and visibility away from that and the civil rights movement, and it moved it over into the alphabet community movement, right? And so now we're in a space to where people are basically advocating to even have men and women's sports. What kind of place do we live in to where we are advocating for something that is not best for us? Now remember, all of these policies and all of this advocacy is tied to the Democratic Party. This is not a Republican agenda. We are a republic, not a democracy. And so basically, they've given you larger, more bloated government They've taken your money. Then they say we want to tax the rich to death to continue to fund our agenda, and they haven't even managed their money effectively. Okay, cool. So now we got the migrant crisis, which is hijacking the alphabet community movement. And what are you doing? What are they doing when they do this stuff? They're tying you back to the Democratic Party because they don't really have any policies that help you, and combined with identity politics, meaning that we all are a Me Too society. If he does it, then the majority of the crowd is doing it, then I'm probably going to do it too, because I'm not a free thinker, but I don't want to stand out and be the sore thumb, and I don't want to be embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? And so you go along to get along, and people shame each other, and they've gotten more confident in the things that they do on a regular basis. But again, it doesn't serve you. It doesn't benefit you. It doesn't help your family. And so now we have the migrant crisis, which is basically upending anything that y'all thought made sense as far as legal migration. And we've allowed for people to come into this country without even being vetted. And that disrespects the people that actually had to go through the process, right? And so when you start to think about all of these things and you start to play it out in your head, right? Because again, we are not free thinkers, most of us. Some of us are. Some of us understand exactly what this movement is. Some of us understand how important this is. But I want to just emphasize one more thing to you. And again, this goes back to the original thing that I was telling y'all. Who are the ones that's going to pay for it? We are already there. We are already who we are. Some of us is going to wake up. Some of us is forever going to be in a slumber. But the question that you have to ask is, who are we doing this for? If you under the age of 24, I get it. If you above the age of 24, I don't. You know why? Because chances are you have children. Chances are you will have children. Chances are some of y'all got grandchildren if you are in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And you know what the worst part about it is? They are the ones that's going to pay for the sins of your fathers. Similar to how we paid for, as far as them hijacking the manufacturing movement, what we see our culture is today, the poverty, single parent homes, prison, generational curses, all of this stuff. A lot of us in this generation, not me specifically, but culturally, we pay for the sins of our fathers. And so your children, when you doing this, remember, because ultimately we make better decisions, most of us, for the people that we love better than we love ourselves. And so when you think about this and you're making your vote and you're trying to decide what makes sense and you're trying to figure out whether or not you want to be a go along, get along gang and play identity politics, is it more important for you to do the best thing that's in the interest of your children, or is it more important for you to be liked? I'd rather be right than liked, personally. I don't really care. I never really cared about what other people thought. And they called me rebellious. But they also called me right. The thing about being right, though, even when they call you rebellious, is that you don't get the flowers. It's in hindsight. So ultimately, it's years down the road where they got to acknowledge that you're right, but it don't really matter because it don't make you feel good. But being right is results oriented. It's not a feeling. Love is about what you do, not how you feel. Remember that. Whenever they try to shame you, or you feeling like, man, what am I going to do? How am I going to make the adjustment? Why do I feel this way? Maybe I need to get on board. Maybe I need to be to go along, get along gang. The most successful people are not in the majority. They're in the minority. The ones that are financially free, the ones that have great children, they are in the minority now. That is not a cultural norm. It's okay not to be liked, but it's not okay to be right, or it's not okay to not be right, especially for your children. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm about to head into the studio. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Teach Henley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. And then last but not least, make sure that y'all come and kick it with me in person. Tickets is down in the description. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you later. Peace.